for want of a horseshoe nail. King Richard III was preparing for the fight of his life. An army led by Henry, Earl of Richmond, was marching against him. The contest would determine who would rule England. The morning of the battle, Richard sent a groom to make sure his favorite horse was ready. "Shoe him quickly," the groom told the blacksmith. "The king wishes to ride at the head of his troops." "You'll have to wait," the blacksmith answered. "I've shoot the king's whole army the last few days, and now I've got to go get more iron." "I can't wait," the groom shouted impatiently. "The king's enemies are advancing right now, and we must meet them on the field."
"Make do with what you have." So the blacksmith bent to his task. From a bar of iron he made 4 horseshoes. He hammered and shaped and fitted them to the horse feet. Then he began to nail them on. But after he had fastened 3 shoes, he found he did not have enough nails for the 4th. "I need 1 or 2 more nails," he said, "and it will take some time to hammer them out." "I told you I can't wait," the groom said impatiently. "I hear the trumpets now. Can you just use what you have got?" "I can put the shoe on, but it won't be as secure as the others."
"Well then, just nail it on," the groom cried. "And hurry, or King Richard will be angry with us both." The armies clashed, and Richard was in the thick of the battle. He rode up and down the field, cheering his men and fighting his foes. Press forward, he yelled, urging his troops toward Henry's lines. Far away, at the other side of the field, he saw some of his men falling back. If others saw them, they too might retreat. So Richard spurred his horse and galloped toward the broken line, calling on his soldiers to turn and fight. He was barely halfway across the field when one of the horseshoes flew off. The horse stumbled and fell, and Richard was thrown to the ground.
Before the king could grab at the reins, the frightened animal rose and galloped away. Richard looked around him. He saw that his soldiers were turning and running, and Henry's troops were closing around him. He waved his sword in the air. "A horse!" he shouted. "A horse! My kingdom for a horse!" But there was no horse for him. His army had fallen to pieces, and his troops were busy trying to save themselves. A moment later, Henry's soldiers were upon Richard, and the battle was over. And since that time, people have said, "For want of a nail, a shoe was lost. For want of a shoe, a horse was lost. For want of a horse, a battle was lost. For want of a battle, a kingdom was lost. And all for the want of a horseshoe nail."
The groom and the blacksmith contribute to the excitement of this story. The groom is an ignorant and impatient person. He wants the blacksmith to finish the horseshoe quickly, and at the end he let the horseshoe unfinished and bring it to the king. The blacksmith is an irresponsible person. Even though he knew that he needed a lot of nails for the horseshoe, he didn't prepare the nails well, so he can't finish his works.
The king contributes to the excitement to the story because the king has a unique character. Everyone has good and bad personalities. So, in this world, nobody is perfect. The same thing goes to the king. He has good and bad personalities. The good one is willful, and the bad one is unprepared. I can prove that willful is his good personality, while he instructs his groom to meet the blacksmith and put the shoe his favorite horse on for his petition. Then I can say that he is unprepared, while he didn't prepare well, his horseshoe since before. So the conclusion is willful without unprepared or responsibility isn't balance.
The plot of this story are Introduction. First, King Richard was preparing for the fight led by Henry to determine who would rule England. Second, King Richard's groom was sent to blacksmith for make a horseshoe nails. Rising action. First, blacksmith didn't have enough nails. Second, King Richard can't wait for a long time. Third, the battle between King Richard and Henry was started. The climax is one of the horse's shoes flew off from King Richard's horse, and he was thrown to the ground. So the conclusion are first, King Richard's soldiers and his troops were turning and running away to save themselves. Second, the battle was over and Henry won as a ruler of England.
For one of a horseshoe nail. Plot. Introduction. King Richard III was preparing for the fight of his life. An army led by Henry, Earl of Richmond, was marching against him. The winner would be determined who will rule England. The rising action is, the morning of the battle, Richard sent a groom to make sure his favorite horse was ready. So the groom sent a command to the blacksmith to shoe the favorite horse. But blacksmith didn't have more enough iron to shoe because he already shoed the whole kingdom horses. And the climax is, then he began to nail them on. But after he had fastened 3 shoes, he found that he didn't have enough nail for the fourth. The following action is, groom cannot wait and he heard the trumpet, so he told the blacksmith to finish up the task and ignored from the problem. The conclusion is, Richard yelled, urging his troops toward Henry's lines. But in another place, his men falling back, and Richard thought they might retreat from the battle. So Richard spurred his horse toward the broken line, calling on his soldiers and turn and fight. In the middle of riding, his horse's shoes flew off, and Richard was thrown to the ground, and he died in Henry's hand.
The moral value of this story is we must complete what we do from first, not just a part of it. And if we don't finish our job until completion, this problem will become our bad habits for the next.
The moral value are first, be patient. Second, if you have to take a decision, don't just think about the impact in a short time, but you have to be wise to think about the impact of your decisions in a long time.
The moral value from the story is we can underestimate the little things in our life because sometimes things that seem small have a big impact in our life. For example, from the story, the loss of a nail affected the fall of a whole kingdom.
From this story, I have learned to be prepared or be ready in every condition, and also little mistake can make a big problem.